Hi there, this is Ron Gula with Cyndi Gula today with episode 11 of the Gula Tech Cyber Fiction Show. Cyndi and I are particularly excited today because we have here with us in studio Kendra Parlock and Robert Vaughn from NPower. So welcome, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Doing well. Happy to be here.
That we're so excited. Now, NPower won a $300,000 grant from our foundation process. We're very excited. This is the first sort of in-studio interview we've been doing with our grantees. And we're going to talk a lot about your guys' background and NPower today.
And when he says won, you guys really won. I mean, it was a competitive grant. Your submission was great. Everything about what you do impressed not only us to include you in the finalists, but our advisory board picked you top three out of our 11 that we did pick, and you guys got number two. So what you guys are doing is fantastic, and we really look forward to hearing more about what you can do and telling our community how we can help and get more involved.
So a lot of what we talk about here is origin story. So before we get to NPower, Kendra, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work at NPower?
Sure. I born in Baltimore, raised in Detroit. I joke that I have dual citizenship. Moved back to Baltimore in 2008. But so how I came to Empower, just interesting story. Tech is in my heart, more on the science side. I grew up always wanting to work in science and did so, got degrees in biology and chemistry, went to work for DuPont, W.R. Grace here in Maryland, Cabot Corporation, had great global jobs, but always wanted to work close to home. Home is Baltimore, Bolton Hill neighborhood, so physically, but also in terms of what I care about. And that led me to a role in the city of Baltimore's mayor's office, where I led the mayor's office of sustainable solutions. And my role was to look at, the city's top priorities and understand problems, but also understand solutions. And so what I got to see were things that were really working to improve community, to improve neighborhoods, to improve the city. And now I get to work at NPower, where I get to work deep in one of those solutions areas, which is workforce development and connecting people to opportunity, high-paying jobs. So that's what got me to NPower in a nutshell.
That's awesome. And NPower is very IT and cybersecurity focused.
That's right.
But you're basically like a biochemist.
Yeah,
scientist, right?
I was biology, chemistry. I worked a large part of my career in chemicals and then in biofuels innovation.
That's excellent. That's excellent. We found that it doesn't take, like, once you're technical, once you've got that sort of basis, you can do many, many different things. So that's awesome. That's very
right.
inspiring. Robert, how did you get here today?
Wow, interesting story for me. From Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. Probably around 15 years old or so, I decided to make bad decisions, hang out with the wrong crowds. And my mother decided, you know what, you're going to go live, in Oklahoma with your uncle, which was her younger brother who was in the military. So I moved to Lawton, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. What a change of scenery. I mean, we went from being able to do anything you wanted to do to watching cows, that was the highlight of my day. But it was a great experience. I had to go, my uncle made me go to a trade school to learn the little basics of like typing and computers. And this was in the early 90s. So internet was just coming about. Matter of fact, I think it was called Prodigy was the internet I was on. So, so I used
Chat
to,
mail.
yeah, exactly. Chat mail. And, but basically what happened for me is I found out I was going to be a father in high school as a teenager, realized I need to do something in my life, worked in a grocery store. And happened to run across this gentleman who was well dressed and looked like he was the richest African American man I've ever seen. And I asked him, what did he do for a living? And he told me he was a system engineer. I assumed that meant he was like some master's degree nerd guy, which is far from what I wanted to do. I had no interest in high school, let alone college. And basically he explained to me he went to a Microsoft system engineering class, took some tech courses, passed these 6 exams to become a system engineer. So I looked into it and decided that's what I wanted to do. It was a better alternative than college, and I didn't see myself as being technical at the time, but turned out to be something that just changed everything for me. So I got into IT, and worked my way up. And I realized how difficult it was. I didn't really want to do IT because it was over my head, but I was coached to stick with it. And basically, to make a long story short, after I got certified, I realized how hard it was for other people like me who didn't have a background or who didn't have the confidence and didn't see themselves in the picture, how we needed to work together to train other people to do exactly what I was doing. But I got a job teaching at New Horizons, Microsoft Office and the system engineering program. And then they made a mistake and said, hey, every time you get certified in a new IT certification and you teach it and you get rated with a high score, we're going to give you a $2,000 raise. So I have 42 certifications now. I dedicated myself to learning everything I could about Microsoft and Cisco and cybersecurity and Oracle at the time and Lotus, and it just grew and grew from there. And so much that I started my own IT company, consulting and training, sold it, and just to fast forward, I realized early in 2007 I wanted to get into the IT space, especially in cybersecurity, and worked my way up to become the global director of information security and risk for GM Financial, and eventually became the deputy CISO for Globe Life, Torchmark, which are two Fortune 500/700 companies. And my happen chance with NPower was I was speaking at a conference, and I basically was complaining at this conference of CISOs about the talent. Like, we was competing against each other. I was giving Uber passes and all type of stuff to get people from the other side of Dallas, North Dallas, to come to the south side of Dallas, which is where we was located in Arlington, Texas area. And basically, a gentleman from NPower came up and introduced himself and said, hey, we're this nonprofit. We train veterans in Texas and their spouses and young adults for free, and we can provide you the talent, no cost to you. And I was like, wait, no cost? This is lovely. So we was able to hire a couple of students on an internship, just fell in love with the program, started to speak at the classes and really share with the young people, what NPower was all about, but also what cyber was all about. And I was particularly interested in the fact that they had a lot of young people from underserved communities, minorities, young women, etc. So I wanted to be a part of really using my influence and stature to let them see themselves in the picture. And I ended up teaching the cybersecurity class, then became the executive director for the Texas office, and eventually became I started the National Instructors Institute with our CEO, and got that funded to really design a curriculum to protect the efficacy of what we do in all of our markets, making sure we had the same curriculum content, develop entry-level programs, intermediate programs, and then advanced programs. So that's what I do to this day.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, we've had the pleasure of speaking to NPower in Baltimore, and it is just so invigorating to talk to the students you have there, because they're so incredible. They are just big sponges. They want to learn everything. They want to, their aspirations of where they want to be is so encouraging to see. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to do it all. I want to do it all. And it's like, whoa, okay, that's great. Let's get you started and really wear what that feels like before you make that bigger decision, that bigger leap. And it's so important to get them those internships, the experience, the what is it real like
Absolutely.
in real world. So I'm
Excellent.
really happy with what, again, the program does.
So you're in charge of training and curriculum for all of NPower.
That's correct.
And you're in charge, Kendra, you're in charge of the
Right.
Baltimore program.
That's
so
right.
Could you maybe tell us just what's the NPower organization? What's it comprised of? Where's it located?
Sure. Yes, I'm executive director for NPower Maryland. So NPower is a national nonprofit, and we operate in 7 regions, including Canada. And so our mission is to launch careers in tech, and we are focused on young adults, women of color, and also those connected to the military. So those are veterans and veteran spouses. And so our primary program is our Tech Fundamentals program, where we are serving those from under-resourced communities to launch their career in tech through Tech Fundamentals. They're working towards the CompTIA certification for entry-level tech support roles. We also offer advanced training in cybersecurity and cloud computing. And so what we do is really we're working to remove barriers, right? Remove barriers to employment. So obviously, starting with the training and certification, but also those barriers related to professional development. So connecting people with mentors, connecting with opportunity, and then also removing barriers related to financial insecurity, housing, transportation, health, mental health. So we are a team of instructors, of operations leaders, of recruitment managers, social support managers, all working together to remove those barriers to employment.
Do you recruit students, or do you have to, this is going to sound horrible, but do you have such a demand that you have to turn students away?
It varies by region, right? So in some regions, we definitely have waiting lists, and we are recruiting. And recruiting is really sharing the opportunity, again, in places where people may not be aware of the opportunity, right? So connecting with other nonprofits, community organizations, schools, to let them know that, there is this path, to a high-paying career in tech. And so that's the fundamental piece of our recruitment, and really, also a focus on, bringing more women of color to tech and cyber.
And that's excellent. I forgot to comment, Robert, when you were basically talking about, what got you interested, you saw somebody in a nice suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always feel like, Cyndi and I would talk a lot about how cybersecurity, we do such a bad job recruiting people. And frankly, it's not just about fighting China and protecting data. You can have an awesome career.
You can.
You can really be a leader. You can pay for a great career, or pay for a career. You can actually have a very, very satisfying thing. So I'm glad that that's part of the recruiting process and whatnot. What do you think of the curriculum? Do you think teaching certification, is it challenging? Is it setting people up for the right opportunities?
Yeah, my background, again, was creating certifications and boot camp styles with the global knowledge and the New Horizons. So I was used to taking someone in 7 days and making them Cisco network administrators. So that was the background. But when I started into IT and started running companies and hiring this talent, I recognized there was a difference between getting certified and passing a test and having the talent to go into corporate America, and more importantly, me sending you out to customers, and we're building them and building this relationship. And so there's a balance between the certifications and the competencies. And so what we try to do at NPower is make sure that there's a focus on both. We recognize, because our students don't have degrees, we have to make sure they have some type of credentials as a way to validate their skills so that employers know they have that basic competency. But we focus on teaching them the fundamentals of how to be professionals. We like to say professional presence. That's the soft skills, emotional intelligence. But also they understand customer service, the technical skills. What's the theory around troubleshooting, and how would you solve a problem and work with someone who may call you irate because their system's not working, their email's not working. So we really focus on trying to find a balance between the certifications and the actual competencies, so we don't consider them mutually exclusive.
What it's a nonprofit, but it's not necessarily free, right? You have corporate sponsors. The students pay a little bit. No, I'm wrong there. All right, so tell me the way.
It is completely, absolutely
Completely free
to our trainees.
Excellent.
Yes, and we're able to do that through the generosity of people like the Gulas, and also corporate philanthropy, government, individual giving.
So I visit all of the classes. It used to be in person, but now virtually since COVID. But I like to tell the students all the time, it's free, but it's not free. So it's free for you guys as far as not having to pay. But there's a lot of work. Kendra, especially being an executive director in Maryland, all of our executive directors, and we have a philanthropy department and development partners who work with Kendra. But getting out there and raising funds and letting people know what we're doing, it's a lot of hard work. And so what we tell students is, if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, you're robbing another student who could be in a seat who really want to do this. So we really try to vet the students and make sure that they're motivated. We don't have any requirements, so to speak, as far as you have to be technical or have a college reading level. But what we look for is behavior and motivations and aptitude, your willingness to take advantage of that opportunity. So free for them, but not free at all. It's a lot of work going to it.
It's a responsibility.
Absolutely.
If you're going to learn how to care for people's data and protect them, it's definitely a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the corporate sponsorship and help that you have, I guess, how do you nurture that type of relationship, and what do the companies get other than potential talent?
Yeah, we tell corporate companies all the time. There's so many ways that you can get involved with NPower. As a matter of fact, a lot of the companies who are financial donors didn't necessarily start that way. Just like me at GM Financial, I found out about this talent, and I just was so impressed with having an opportunity to give back to the veterans and the spouses in Texas, because they don't serve young adults in that market. Whereas in Baltimore, we do young adults, and now we're working with veterans. But I just wanted to come in and just donate my time and just share, my experience and say, this is what it's like in the real world, so to speak, and what you learn in the classroom, and to re-encourage them. And then it turns into one of those things where they want to volunteer, they want to bring their team in. Hey, how can we fund this? And how can we put some money behind it? And how can we pay a scholarship or a stipend and help the students with their internship? So there's all of those various ways to get involved. So we have companies who don't give money, but they give their time. They sit on our boards, advisory, help us with curriculum, help us with social support, et cetera. So those are all the ways. But I tell people all the time, it's great to be able to cut your stake, knowing that you made a difference as well. But we also solving a problem in corporate America, because the reality of it is we only have about 28% of college students majoring in STEM programs. And we have over 8 million technical jobs that's happening by 2028. 2.3 million of them we're now seeing need to be filled by non-college so-called graduates. So we're actually solving a problem that corporate America workforce have in some aspects tied to national security as it comes to making sure we have enough technical talent and help.
Yeah, and then as far as internships and real world experience for the people in the class and things, like how does a company get involved in that as well?
Yeah. So just wanted to add that, definitely in Maryland, most of our corporate relationships started with just one person, an individual who wants to make a difference, wants to connect, with someone. And then from there, so we invite professionals in to give tech talks, to come and lecture on, soft skills, or what we really know are essential skills, in terms of securing a job and being successful in a job. And then from there, working towards mentorship, we have a program called NPower Match, where we're matching professionals with our trainees in a well-defined, mentor-mentee relationship, which I think is beautiful, because I just think of all the times when I was a mentee or looking for a mentor, and the hard part was always, how do I ask someone to be a mentor? When we get together, what do we talk about? So we make that all easy for the professional, for the mentor and the mentee. And then from there, right, connecting to the placement opportunities. So we, our teams consist of placement professionals who are working alongside small, mid-sized, large companies to place our alumni, place our trainees in internships, full-time employment, which would include apprenticeships.
Can you talk about some of the potential employers or places you've got internships and apprenticeships at?
Sure. Really proud of the relationship that we've forged over years with Northrop Grumman. Just thinking of one young man who came to NPower. Actually, it was his grandmother who signed him up for NPower because he was sleeping on her couch and had just barely finished high school, but she knew he had potential. She signed him up, but he came with this really vast interest in tech and cyber. And since that, so he came through the program along with, I think now we have 10 others who've come through the program and either been placed in internships or full-time roles and apprenticeships with Northrop Grumman. And what is innovative about what they have done is, they've connected those trainees with mentors, giving them opportunity for advanced training, in cyber, place them in cyber roles, opportunities for security clearances, but also created roles and a path within the organization that allowed them to come in without degrees and to go on to higher roles.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because there's a lot of discussion about how important is it to have a college degree versus certifications versus 2-year school. cyber, I feel like we're making it up every day.
Yes.
You know, and I value degrees, I value certifications.
Right.
Where do you guys see this industry going?
Yeah, for me, I got into IT because it was an alternative going to college. And so getting the certification and then getting right into the corporate America and working and getting those skills, I thought was super. Whereas I had friends who decided to go straight to college, and a lot of them majored in computer science. And by the time they got out, I had 4 years of experience already and was making a lot more money and had more certifications. And I found that for me, that was the best alternative. Now, I ended up doing, like as I mentioned, the 42 certifications, but along the way, what I learned is if you want to be an engineer or a desktop support person, a data analyst, for the most part, you don't really have to have a degree, and a lot of the companies are starting to see that because what people are looking at now is performance. The truth of the matter is, I went back to go get my bachelor's and then a few graduate degrees, but it was more so because it was looked upon as necessary to become an executive more than it was to be an IT professional. So when I realized I wanted to be an executive in a company, I went back to go to school. The great thing, though, is by having all of the IT experience and certifications, I got so much work-life credit for what I had already done in IT that it made getting my degree a lot easier. But I think companies are seeing the value in performance-based. The big companies out there, the Silicon Valleys now, when they interview you, they're giving you real live exams and tests to make sure you can do it situations. And so they're realizing it's not about college degree or certification, it's about being able to perform. And that's why our curriculum is based on competencies.
And it's so tough because we don't want to be critical of universities.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be critical of certifications. Everybody's different, and this career field is so large. There's so much opportunity. It's more about getting more people involved.
Yeah, and I
Right.
definitely think employers and the general public are understanding there's other paths, and
That's
and
right.
the more conversation we have, those paths are opening. I really think apprenticeships and internships are becoming more acceptable, but I still think people are a little bit hesitant to cross that divide. So, I mean, how have you seen the best internship relationships with these corporate partners be successful? Because again, here we're saying let's lower the restrictions on or requirements for a degree, yet the industry needs to be more comfortable that the students that the interns that you're putting out there have competencies. So I like the idea of competencies, but how do you cross that bridge? How do you get across that divide? What's been most successful?
Yeah, what I've seen is that, organizations that, so I've seen that, especially now that so many people have as a part of their vision or, their mission around corporate social responsibility is to diversify talent and bring other groups of people who've been underrepresented into the organizations. But not everyone has connected that vision and desire with their actual operations, practices, policies, and processes, right? And so where I've seen the best relationships, the best outcomes are where, organizations have been intentional, not bringing just one trainee, but, several trainees in together, right? And being very focused on connecting them, with as an apprenticeship would involve structure, around, advanced training, structure around wage progression, structure around addressing, other supports that are needed for success. So again, connecting your vision, mission with, your actual policy, procedures, job descriptions, and all that, and also connecting with social supports.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that and say one of the big pillars that we're focusing on is system change. Because Cyndi, you're exactly right. What is happening is the acceptance of non-degree tech talent is really moving slow. So it's not a well accepted thing. And one of the things we want to do is become a voice for that, to say, what, we need to do this, and corporate America is starting to see we need to do it, and competencies is a way to do it. But what I love about our CEO, Bertina Ceccarelli, is that she recognizes the ecosystem. And so we're strategic in working with, for example, a lot of our locations is actually in community colleges. We work with universities, and we're inside of a historical black college, for example, in St. Louis, Harris Stowe State University. So, we have a lot of our graduates. We have over 5,400 alums now. And a lot of them they will go to college, and some of them will continue education, or some are already in college when they come to us, and they see this as an opportunity to get some skills, get to work, and to be able to afford college, etc. So we want to build ecosystems with universities and community college where a lot of what they're learning these skills while they're working on internships, they may decide to go back later, or there's a dual credit thing. So we recognize it's going to take all of us to think outside the box. I think the last thing I would say to piggyback off of Kendra as far as the apprenticeship model. In Dallas, Fort Worth, we have a lot of great partners, but City comes to mind. They're one of the bigger ones. They take about 12 to 15 students per cohort a year. And one of the things that they do is, to Kendra's point, is they're vested in creating a space where our trainees who don't have degrees can come in. They can learn. They continue with continuing education, but they also work with us because after they go through the tech fundamentals, we're committed to making sure over the next 3 years we follow their wages and we create enough advanced certification type training like cyber, cloud, ServiceNow, Salesforce. We're working on what we call a student journey, where there's some more on ramps and off ramps to help them continue to come back, upskill, get some education, or refer them to other nonprofits that's doing work, etc. So we see it as an ecosystem, but under the auspices of a system change, where we're communicating, whether it be policy, law, corporate America, on the need to have all of that be included in a way to solve the workforce gap.
That's excellent. Could you talk for a minute? Maybe this is a better question for you, Robert. What's the typical skill set and skills of the graduate of the IT class and then the graduate of the cybersecurity class?
Yeah, as far as coming in, it varies. And the truth is, what makes it difficult for my instructors is we don't have a requirement that says, again, you have to have a certain reading level of math skills, etc. So when we interview, again, we're looking for motivation and the right attitude and those things to come into fruition. And then we say, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity. But by the time you're done with the program, we have those same requisites. So again, the biggest things is you have to learn how, on our Tech Fundamentals program, how to troubleshoot, how to ask the right questions. We teach you how to do that. How to work with someone, again, who may be frustrated, irate, needing help, how to calm them down, how to be a great active listener in order to repeat back what you think they're saying and hearing, and then give them and then be able to have the patience to walk them through. That's the stuff that's technical, but also the non-technical, the essentials, as Kendra said, that we want to make sure that they get that professional development side.
And it's so important for a career in IT and cyber.
Right, because our students have this thing that we're going to open up a computer, put it together, they're going to install Windows or Linux, and then we're ready to go get a $100,000 job. And we have to let them know it's a lot more to it. But the hard part of technology, especially whether you talk as cyber or the entry level, is not the technical stuff. It's those intangible things of understanding how you use technology and leverage technology to help people do their day-to-day work, to help the company solve problems and meet their goals and objectives. We like to call it in the classroom traceability. Let's find out what you're doing and how it traces back to what matters most to the organization or a particular function within the organization, et cetera, so that they understand that they're contributing to a bigger goal and can work on the team. But as far as the technical aptitude, it's more troubleshooting, installation, software, PC repair, understanding peripherals and setting up wireless networks, etc. On the cyber side, what we decided to do is not go so much with a particular vendor. So it's mostly open source code. So, the Metasploits, the Kane enables how to use password penetration. So they learn how to use the hacking tools, risk assessment tools that's more open source. But what we focus on with them is also understanding that cyber is not just simply about these tools and how to hack networks. It's all about, as you guys like to say, it's all about that data care, that data security. How do you identify for each stakeholder within an organization what matters most to them? And then how do you make sure that what you do technically supports the policies of the company, so they understand they have a high level of that. So they can become a security operations center, a SOC analyst, pen tester. They can also become a data analyst or a researcher for a company, or just do your basic information security audits and compliance type work.
That's excellent. When the students graduate, and you call them trainees, is that?
So, right, trainees versus, because we're very intentional about the language we used. We came together. So I'm a year and 4 months old in NPower, and very at the beginning of me coming to NPower, I remember sitting with our team, and we were, ideating, coming up with ways to really, help help students, trainees understand, the real value of the program and what it really is, which is day one of a career, a new career, and job placement at the end. So being called a trainee really emphasizes that versus student. So it's
I
not
like that.
just class.
So when your trainees graduate,
yeah.
I think it's great that you got partners like Citicorp, some other large things. I've always thought that smaller companies who might not have invested in, a large IT staff or even a cybersecurity staff might benefit from, getting people coming from your program. So
That's right.
are most of the graduates going to what I would consider larger Fortune 2000, Northrop Grumman type places, or are there small ones? And if they're,
No.
how would they contact you? To just go to the NPower website?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just one example, Cybercore Technologies, Tina Kuhn, CEO, and we connected with Cybercore through AFCEA, and so we were able to connect, in this industry networking, but people are reaching out to us. Through our website, empower.org, but also through some of the industry associations we've been connected with, as well as we're registered with the Department of Labor to register apprentices.
That's excellent. So, if anybody wants to come and speak, they should go to the website. If they want to try to get an internship, they should go to the website.
And
if they want to hire some people, go to the
And
website.
what cities are you currently in?
Yeah, definitely go to empower.org. And the great thing is if you click on our about and go to, for example, our staff, it shows location, but if you go into staff as well, it shows you the executive directors and their entire local teams and who's over career. Or you can reach out directly to the executive director for those particular locations if you're interested in a particular region. But so empower.org has all of the information you need. And I would say also we have a lot of students that they need a little bit more work than others, and some of them actually end up placed at, for example, for their internship or apprenticeship at nonprofits or small businesses to get a little bit more handheld touch and opportunity to do it, to do the work. So yeah, it's small businesses, it's nonprofits, mid-sized companies, large. We have a great coalition of workforce staff that's all involved in it.
Now, your program, you just said some trainees need more help than others. However, you had to pivot during COVID to go to remote. So, how was that path for you, and how has that been working?
Yeah, and just to answer your last question, I want to make sure I do that. We're in Baltimore, of course, and we also have Harlem and Brooklyn offices in New York, in addition to a headquarters in New York and Brooklyn as well. We're in Newark, New Jersey, and also Jersey City. We're in St. Louis, Missouri, as well as Detroit, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, which is where I'm located. And then we also have San Jose, California. And then we have a kind of a sister NPower organization throughout Canada as well. So those are our locations, so to speak. And I'm sorry.
The COVID.
The COVID, yeah. Last March was very interesting in that, we had a cohort going on, and all of a sudden March came and it was like, what are we going to do? And we shut down the instruction for 1 week. And that gave me an opportunity to rally our instructional staff nationally together and just say, okay, we need to become an online training organization by next week. But what we also need to do is make sure that we don't try to teach it to our students the same way we did in the classroom. So there was a couple of things we did. We created principles. The first and foremost one was we're going to teach with empathy, and we're going to teach with flexibility. So understand that this is going to impact the students who we serve. They're probably going to be even more impacted with COVID than the normal population, because they're already an underserved community who lack access, et cetera. So what we wanted to do is really make sure that the curriculum and the environment was conducive to learning, that we was empathetic, that what we would normally have them do live in class, we gave them the flexibility. For example, we've had students who are single parents, male and female for that matter, who could not do homework until the evening when they put the kid down. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't say, oh, well, you wasn't in class, we're gonna kick you out the program, we're not showing up. We made sure that our curriculum was very flexible, empathetic to the students, and that our instructors was trained in what we like to call the trauma-informed training to be able to work in an environment. The other things we did was we took out kind of the fluff of our lectures and focused on the small nuggets of here's the information you have to have. And then we created this pedagogical process called the teach model.
What was that last word?
pedagogical. The
Just wanna make sure I got that.
approach.
All
You
right.
can tell those of us who are not educators.
Yes.
So we created this pedagogical approach called the TEACH model. It is TEACH, but it's an acronym. So it stands for we go to class Monday through Friday. So each day is a different day. There's a T day, a E day, a A, a C, and a H. So it's training day, where we train you on what you need to know. That's the lecture, traditional. And then the E day is engage day. So this is where you get to work with us on what we taught you the previous day, and now we engage and say, okay, we're going to walk you through it. You walk this with us. And then the A day is an application day. Now you got to do it yourself. So we wanted to be intentional with the days we teach you the information, the days we work with you and engage with you, and then when you got to prove what you know. And then we have a dedicated C day, which is a career day. That's when we teach those essential skills, the soft skills, professional development, working on your resumes, being present in a moment, and understanding that you're now in a virtual environment and we have guests come in, and how you show up matters. To Kendra's point, that trainee thing, you got to be your job starts now. Not when you graduate. And then lastly, the H day was home day. It's since been called health check-in day, because it was a day for them to just work from home, reflect on what they've learned, do independent learning modules, but also get that social support that they need if there's barriers, or the career touch that they need. So we changed our entire pedagogical approach and how we delivered the curriculum.
Wow. So awkward part of this, you probably have some stories of students who've, oh my gosh, trainees who've graduated. Let's talk about them now.
Yeah.
Right. Any good examples there that you can share?
Yes, we have 5,200 alumni. We have 5,200 stories.
Which one's your favorite? Who's your favoriteest?
Starting with some of the recent stories. Again, thinking about what we've experienced over the last year with COVID, and we the data is in, right, that COVID has really raised our awareness, around the gap, in terms of digital equity, the digital divide. And so many of trainees that come to us who we needed to provide computers, access to internet. And so those are the stories that stick out. So over the last, couple of cohorts, one young woman, who had been, struggling to secure employment, kind of floating from, server jobs, to server job, but was able to, complete our program, with some assistance. We have, we implemented a student success fund during COVID, because what we found out is that a lot of our trainees were, $200, $400 away from having to drop out of the program and not being able to get their certifications and graduate. So being able to address that need. So helping students do that. And one young woman went on to cloud computing program with Elsevier, right? And so going from, no employment to a job where she's making over $50,000 a year is pretty amazing.
And for me,
so 4,999 more to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I have lots of stories just like that, and that's the power of NPower. What we do, it's a lot of work. I tell Kendra all the time, like, I wake up and say, wow, that's a lot of work. It's hard. It can be mentally tough. To be able to deliver the way we do as a footprint. But then you go to graduation, which we just had a national virtual graduation a week or so ago, and you start seeing all of these amazing people who graduated and they finished their apprenticeships, or they're just now launching careers, and then you realize it just fills you with all of this energy and you're ready to do the whole thing over. Mm-hmm. But when I had a student veteran in Dallas, name's Greg, and I had another student in the same class named Howard. Howard used to always be there early. Like, I'm talking, we start at 9 o'clock in the morning and we go till 1 afternoon. And then we have a second cohort that starts at 2 and go to 6 p.m. So you normally have these part-time so people can work if they need to. And Howard will be there 5 or 6 in the morning. Now, at the time, I didn't know it's because he was homeless and sleeping in his car. He was a veteran. I just like, wow, this kid is motivated. And it really wasn't a kid, because, he was in his 40s. But this gentleman, he had this attitude. You would have never knew he was homeless, other than one time I had to get there really early, and I saw him in his car, and we sat down, and he opened up to me. We cried together. He finished the program, and now he's a VP of an IT consulting company. And then I'll never forget his young gentleman named Greg, who's a veteran too. He came to me and said, I don't have any background, but I want to be a CISO like you. and I want to do it in 2 years. And I was like, we might want to pump the brakes on getting there in 2 years. But sure enough, in 2 years, he was a deputy CISO, because he said, just tell me what you did and tell me what I need to do and help me map it out, and I'll do what I need to do. So then I realized that this access was more than just launching digital careers. What this really is let me get out of the way and just show you the way. And basically, if you take advantage of the opportunity in front of you and you have that motivation, the sky's the limit. So those are two people that stick out. But what I love most about them is they come back every year. And they speak to the students and they share the triumphs, the tragedies, and all the other things they went through, and say, hey, guys, this is an opportunity for you to stick with it. The Gula Foundation, who's vested in you, and NPower creating this access, means nothing if you don't partner with us and take ownership of your life. So that's what it's all about for us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't go to a graduation and not tear up.
Absolutely.
You cannot walk away from that and not feel like walking on cloud nine, that even just helping one person and just seeing either the transformation or at least their energy, it's just amazing. And that's why, I would encourage everybody, if have an NPower, if you have another local workforce development, and because you have stuff to share, they want to hear your story, because the story's not clear. Cyber doesn't have one story to get into cyber.
Absolutely.
My degree's in glass engineering science, so I'm closer to you on the chemical side of things than the cyber. But I'm here, and you can be too. And we just want to make sure that those avenues are open and people are listening. And then we open the door, get out of the way.
Absolutely.
And allow them to come and forge their own path. And so that's the dialogue and the conversation, which I'm so excited. And the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
To be able to build. And that's what we're trying to do with Gula Tech Foundation, is to really highlight and amplify and show the impact that other people can have with organizations such as NPower.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about trying to attract more people to this career field. So Cyndi and I are pushing this concept of DataCare. It's really about raising awareness outside of the cybersecurity folks, awareness that this is a great career field, awareness that we have personal responsibility to protect our own data, that sort of thing. So as you engage with those less fortunate, those across the digital divide, what are some issues you've had to do to communicate them that there's a great career in IT, there could be a great career in cybersecurity?
Yeah, that cybersecurity is not somebody else's problem, that it's personal. You have data that's online and you want to protect. How do you go about that?
One of the things I do with the students we recruit, but young people in general when I go speak, is I ask them, why is it that the stuff you guys love to do, these social media, all of them free? You don't have to pay for anything. And the main reason it's free is because your information, they get for your access and this entertainment and sharing your pictures, etc. You're giving them information. They're learning your behavior. They're learning your shopping patterns and all of those things about you. Because what companies realize is that the new currency is information, and whoever owns the information or who can sell the information owns the world. And so that's really what our economy, and that's really what internet and technology is. Internet of Things is all about. And so you're really giving up who you really are, your intellectual property, your identity, when you enroll in some of these. And some people just carelessly give it up without understanding that information, or how they get it back, or what part do they own, or what part do this new organization own, and then what responsibility. A lot of times a company now, they're so smooth in that they'll send you a little opt-in or opt-out, but we don't read that. We don't inform consumers, and so you just click the button, yeah, I want to go access my pictures.
Do you cover that at NPower?
We do.
I often said, in high school, we learned home ec. We learned how banking works, how credit card life, but we didn't understand how Facebook and Apple work. So if you're covering that, that's phenomenal.
Absolutely. So we have a 23-week tech fundamentals, as Kendra talked about. 16 weeks of that is the in-class instruction. 7-week minimum is the internship that then leads to either placement or apprenticeship. But within that first 8 weeks is the IT fundamentals, what we do to come to your IT certification. We talk about this piece in that first 8 weeks. So the fundamentals of, you're not just thinking about being a technical professional. You got to think about the responsibility you have to data or other people's data, and also the ethics around that and the citizenship that comes with the data. And so we like to make cyber about the foreign terrorist attacks from Russia and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, we giving away some of the stuff that hackers are trying to get.
Yeah.
Kendra, have you had to try to convince somebody to come to NPower and go into IT, go into cybersecurity?
So I not convinced, but I'm always thinking about, our young women, right? And so where they don't always see themselves, in tech and in science, right? And thinking specifically, again, around DataCare, making that personal connection. That's when I first, read the, words matter. When I see data and care together, I think of, the personal connection, how things, touch people, the heart hug emoji, on Facebook that first comes to mind. And then that reminds me of one of our regional advisory board members, Gail Guilford. She's a former CISO for the city of Baltimore, Baltimore City IT. And, we all know about the great hacking event, Baltimore City government, and she helped steer the city, through that. But, what the story she shared with our young women at a women of color leadership breakfast is that she had the confidence to stand in front of the city council to say we need more, like this could happen, we need more. And so seeing her step up to say, how we need to protect our data so that we can continue delivering services for the city, how she was able to be confident and do that, sharing that with those young women, to me, like, is a great example of DataCare and how we are bringing more women to IT and cyber.
Oh, yeah. So, we've done a lot of, I get asked quite a bit, Cyndi, how do we get more people in cyber? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't start in cyber. My path was not in cyber. I'm not a computer science engineer. I don't like to program. All of these things. And so when I really started to think, well, how do we get more people in cyber? We've learned that women need to hear the why.
Yeah.
I want to do something before you tell me what.
Yeah.
And cybersecurity has been shouting, what, how, what. And it's no wonder there's not more women saying, yeah, let me get into that. But with DataCare, that captures the why, and then it brings that protection. Mm-hmm. That's why I love cybersecurity, because even though we're competing against other companies in cyber, and to that extent, we're all on the same side. We're all going towards the national security. It's a really great community to be in, and I want to welcome more people. But to your point, yes, more women need to hear the why I need to do something. Make it we're not going against China. I'm
Absolutely.
protecting your personal, area and very personal kind of things, and answer that why, and then build on the how, what, and give me more kind of thing.
Yeah, one of the big initiatives and part of our mission is we have what we call 40 by 22. We set out a few years back to say by 2022 we wanted 40% of our students to be women of color, women in general, women of color targeted specifically. At the time we made this initiative in early 2018, I had one female period on my instructional staff nationally, and now 45% of our instructors are women, and particularly a lot of them are over 75% of them are actually alumni. Women who went through the program, launched careers, and came back and said, hey, I want to teach. Because you're exactly right. I think that's the great thing about the DataCare. I remind the young ladies who come to our cybersecurity program of how there's no way we would have won World War II without women. Mm-hmm. A lot of women came, and they was the ones who created the ammunition, and they've not only fought, but they got on the assembly line, etc. But for them, it was a time to step up. It was about the community. It was about the country. It was about bringing us together. I think in the same light, DataCare is a great way to see that. And when women see themselves in it and say, hey, this is about protecting my information, my family, my country, my intellectual property, etc. And it's not just about programming languages. It's a lot of things that make up this information security. They see themselves in that picture and going to do some great things. And all of my cybersecurity mentors are women who they're fabulous at what they do. But so we know that once you get young ladies especially, and women of color involved, and they see themselves in that, and they see it as more of acts of service, that's when it resonates with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cyber industry has done a really poor job of giving the general public sort of the basic understanding of the jobs. Like, we know in medical, we have nurses, doctors, insurance people, pharmacists, and lawyers, there's the lawyers, paralegals, there's the detectives, all that sort of law. Cyber, we've kind of left it up to the hoodies and the matrix hackers and whatnot. So hopefully this is a way to kind of get that kind of stuff out there.
But now, speaking of the matrix.
That's right. All right. So Gula Tech Cyber Fiction. I'll lead with you. What's your favorite kind of science fiction? Does anything influence you? How you're recruiting the trainees? What do you like to talk about when it comes to sci-fi?
That's a fun question. That is fun. So yes, science fiction. Thinking of the Minority Report, definitely one of my favorite movies. Yes, I'm a Tom Cruise fan too. But just what I love. So that was the first time I was introduced to swiping, right? And I read somewhere that when they were, writing the script for the movie, they pulled together technologists to say, what does the world look like in 2054? And so in that movie, you saw like retina scanning, biometrics. You saw predictive analytics, right, using data to forecast. It was crime in that movie, but that ties to the work I used to do using data to better deliver services, in government and solve problems. And then also, the facial recognition, right, and targeted ads, and we definitely know how that is, happened through our social media profiles, right? But what a lot of science fiction, is about dystopia, but what you really see also is this opportunity to use technology to solve big problems, and so I see right now, like, we're writing the script for the future, right? We're using technology, we're using opportunities in technology to bridge the divide, to advance economic mobility. So yes, I see. Yes, I love that you call this the Gula cyber fiction show, because yes, there is so much there that we can apply to what we do today.
Well, science fiction usually has authors and the people
Yeah.
inventing the future struggling with these new issues. Now, of course, in Minority Report, they're using precognition, right? Knowledge of the future to predict future crimes. But we talked about Facebook collecting all of our data, right? What if Amazon was the one distributing the COVID shots? They probably would have got it to people who needed it most, but then it's up to them to kind of really make that decision, right? Or what if they're sharing that? What if Facebook starts sharing data with law enforcement? And that's really interesting social issues and privacy issues. So I'm a big fan of science fiction for kind of charting the way here of things we need to talk about as a country.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. And, for me, there's three movies that stick out. The Matrix, Black Panther, which is one of my favorites. Matrix is probably my favorite movie of all time. Just one. I don't know how I feel about the other ones, but the first one. And then the last one actually is iRobot with Will Smith. And I think the thing that helped me the most when looking at those three movies is pulling these themes out. I think if you look at The Matrix, it's about programmings and rules and how you can use these programs to control people and hide the truth from people. If you look at iRobot, it's about advancing civilization with technology and making it easier, but there's a distrust of that technology when you look at it from that perspective. And then if you look at Black Panther, it's about this advanced super technology that you can use, but there's a choice you got to make. Are you going to use it for good or for evil? And when you think about all three of those issues, it's precisely map out to what we try to solve at NPower. And that is, especially when we talk about underserved communities and young people of color, women of color, et cetera, is that there's a big population who does not trust technology because they see technology as being invasive or keeping something from them or keeping them from something. And then there's a big population that only sees technology as evil. And what I like about those three movies is that it reminds us is that technology is a choice, and it could be used for good. It could solve problems, and that it can change the way we work. It's not changing who we are, but it's improving the way we live. And you have to make a choice how you want to use that technology and what type of citizen you're going to be. And so I love those three movies because it makes you think about using that technology from those three perspectives.
Phenomenal.
That's great.
Yep. All right, so let's close out. Where can people go to learn more? We already mentioned npower.org. As we close out, what kind of messages do you have either for the CISOs out there who are thinking about, gee, how do I get a more diverse workforce? Or maybe even to a student, a young trainee who is considering a career in cybersecurity and IT?
Well, you've missed the middle market there of all people who are currently in cyber
Who can
in some level
volunteer and help.
that can help
Absolutely.
and volunteer.
Yes, there are so many, just like as many paths there are into cyber. There are paths to connect with us, right? NPower.org, but really connecting again with us, to volunteer as a professional development speaker, a tech speaker, a mentor, volunteering to do mock interviews. You can even do that virtually. Volunteering to come to one of our events, speak at an event, a graduation, or an executive leadership roundtable. Let's not forget, dollars. We make the training, free to those we serve through generosity. So yes, $7,500, sponsors a trainee through our program. $5,500 sponsors an internship. $500 can make a difference in someone's life who's experiencing some hardship while going through the program. So yes, please reach out, NPower.org. I'm Kendra Parlock. You can find me on LinkedIn, but love to hear from your viewers and listeners.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, really, we're so grateful to you guys, the Gula Foundation, for donating the funds to us. And what that money is going to go to is allowing us to double the size of our cybersecurity program. When you think about our cybersecurity program, you're talking about students who are either unemployed or underemployed. When you put the two together, they're starting out at $4,000. When our cyber students on average are averaging around $80,000. So just the fact that we're able to double with the donations you guys have given us, that's $80,000 times another 50 students. So I like to tell people all the time, when you're flying an airplane, the first thing you do when there's the depressurization is you put the oxygen on yourself, then you assist someone else. And really, those type of investments, whether you're coming in and you're volunteering or you're donating funds, etc., is you allow us to develop our students in a way that they learn how to put the oxygen on themselves, and then they can impact their own household, their own community. And we don't have a one way, as Kendra said, to get involved. But I really encourage people to think about the little things that you do or what we take for granted in corporate America matters to our students. And so they can see themselves in the picture and you can share that knowledge. Not just the technical knowledge, but hey, how you navigate culture, politics, all of those things that may happen in the real world. Dressing for success. When did you feel singled out or isolated, and how you overcome that? All of that type of experience matters. It helps our students be more well-rounded. So yeah, NPower.org for sure. Again, I'm vice president of the National Instructor Institute. I didn't say that, but you can definitely go to NPower.org or Robert Vaughn, and Google me at Robert Vaughn NPower, and I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Well, I cannot impress on how impressed I am with NPower, the organization, your trainees, and I just feel honored to help double the amount of people that you serve, because it only really, all you have to do is talk to one and you're inspired forever. And so that you're doing even more is just wonderful. And just keep up the great work, and hopefully other people will certainly help. And I know your alumni are just going to be so appreciative as well. And your network and the ecosystem and introductions to the other Gula Tech Foundation winners, Black
Absolutely.
Cybersecurity Association, Girl Security, really trying to build a bigger ecosystem so that everybody can enable and empower everybody else.
Awesome. Robert, Kendra, congratulations again.
Thank you.
You have a lot more work to do. We have a lot more work to cover before we all work in the DataCare industry. And instead of 4,000 students, you said
5,000.
5,000 students, we're going to go to 10,000
Okay,
now, right? So
yes.
that's awesome. All right. Thanks for watching. This is Ron and Cyndi Gula signing off for episode 11 of the Gula Tech Cyber Fiction Show.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.